Hey, it's Kenny. Here is the story of Thanksgiving. Pilgrims and other New World settlers set out on the Mayflower for America from England in 1620. Since the Pilgrims did not have enough funds to outfit for the journey and establish a colony, they sought help from the Virginia Company of London and the Virginia Company of Plymouth, companies known as adventurers, which were organized to fund and equip colonial enterprises. One of the key points of the contract between the Pilgrims and the adventurers said that all colonists were to get their food, clothing, drink, and provisions from the colony's common stock and goods. In addition, during the first 7 years, all profits earned by the colonists would go into the common stock until they were divided. When the Pilgrims and other New World settlers set out on the Mayflower for America from England in 1620, they intended to lay anchor in northern Virginia. But after treacherous shoals and storms drove their ship off course, the settlers landed in Massachusetts instead, near Cape Cod, outside of Virginia's jurisdiction. Knowing life without laws could prove catastrophic, colonist leaders created a set of rules for self-governance which became known as the Mayflower Compact. The Mayflower Compact created laws for Mayflower pilgrims and non-pilgrims alike for the good of their new colony. It was a short document which established that the colonists would remain loyal subjects to the King James despite their need for self-governance. The colonists would live in accordance with the Christian faith. The colonists would create one society and work together to further it. The colonists would create and enact laws, ordinance, acts, constitutions, and offices for the good of the colony and abide by those laws. Today, we could call this a socialist commune. Throughout that first brutal winter, most of the colonists remained on board the ship, where they suffered from exposure, scurvy, and outbreaks of contagious disease. Only half of the Mayflower's original passengers and crew lived to see their first New England spring. In March, the remaining settlers moved ashore. The colony's governor, William Bradford, wrote that its socialist philosophy greatly hindered its growth. Young men resented working for the benefit of other men's wives and children without compensation. Healthy men who worked thought it unjust that they received no more food than weak men who could not. Wives resented doing household chores for other men, considering it a kind of slavery. Bradford wrote, "The experience that we had in this common course and condition tried sundry years that by taking away property and bringing community into a commonwealth would make them happy and flourishing, as if they were wiser than God. For this community was found to breed much confusion and discontent, and retard much employment that would have been to their benefit and comfort. For young men that were most able and fit for labor and service did repine that they should spend their time and strength to work for other men's wives and children without any recompense. That was thought injustice." Governor Bradford wrote that to avoid famine in 1623, the Pilgrims abandoned socialism. At length, after much debate of things, the governor gave way that they should set corn every man for his own particular, and in that regard trust to themselves, in all other things to go on in the general way as before, and so assign to every family a parcel of land. So, in essence, there was, thanks to the Indians, because they taught us how to skin beavers and how to plant corn when we arrived. But the real Thanksgiving was thanking the Lord for guidance and plenty. And once they reformed their system and got rid of the communal bottle and started what was essentially free market capitalism, they produced more than they could possibly consume, and they invited the Indians to dinner, and voila, we got Thanksgiving. And that's what it was. Inviting the Indians to dinner and giving thanks for all the plenty is the true story of Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving becomes an official holiday. During the American Revolution, the Continental Congress designated one or more days of Thanksgiving a year, and in 1789 George Washington issued the first Thanksgiving proclamation by the national government of the United States. In it, he called upon Americans to express their gratitude for the happy conclusion to the country's War of Independence and the successful ratification of the U.S. Constitution. His successors John Adams and James Madison also designated days of thanks during their presidencies. Abraham Lincoln in 1863, at the height of the Civil War, in a proclamation entreating all Americans to ask God to commend to his tender care all those who have become widows, orphans, mourners, or sufferers in the lamentable civil strife, and to heal the wounds of the nation. He scheduled Thanksgiving for the final Thursday in November, and it was celebrated on that day every year until 1939, when Franklin D. Roosevelt moved the holiday up a week in an attempt to spur retail sales during the Great Depression. Roosevelt's plan, known as Franksgiving, was met with passionate opposition, and in 1941 the president reluctantly signed a bill making Thanksgiving the fourth Thursday in November. So traditionally, in many American households, the Thanksgiving celebration has lost much of its original religious significance. Instead, it now centers on cooking and sharing a bountiful meal with family and friends. Turkey, a Thanksgiving staple, has become all but synonymous with the holiday. Beginning in the mid-20th century and perhaps even earlier, the President of the United States has pardoned one or two Thanksgiving turkeys each year, sparing the birds from slaughter and sending them to a farm for retirement. A number of U.S. governors also perform the annual turkey pardoning ritual. November Thanksgiving is a day of thanksgiving to Almighty God. I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving and spend time with your family and friends. Thanks for watching.